Hello everyone, Nathan here from PH Studios, and welcome to another video covering clickable gameplay objects. Now, last tutorial we discussed a way to make a gameplay object clickable by using the mouse. And somebody brought up a good point that what if you have multiple objects on the screen that can be clickable, and one of them's on top of the other one. So I've upgraded the sample to reflect that issue, and I'll explain what's going on here. Alright, so the only thing that was modified is the update method of game1.cs. There are a few things that are modified, but just in game1.cs, I've moved some things to dedicated methods, like perform mouse interactions and perform normal updates. So those are in its own dedicated class, and they do what they say. The perform mouse interaction will do the mouse update method. And we saw that in the last video where we call .update with gametime and the mouse object. And then the normal update is just the normal update operations. Remember that the clickable gameplay object is a derivative of gameplay object. That is why we can call base.update here. So we look through the mouse. Remember, the mouse is the update that takes the mouse. We'll call base.update. So this is being called. We're doing the normal gameplay object update, and then we're doing the mouse. So we process the mouse updates, and if the mouse is nowhere to be found, it'll just ignore it. So we do the mouse interaction updates, and if it finds one that's either it's hovering the object or it's clicking the object. Remember, if it's hovering the object, it will become 100% visible, and it'll do some rotations. So if it's hovering it or we have clicked it, it will call the update method, and then it will store it in the active mouse. So if we look at the clickable gameplay object, if we have interacted with it, which means we do the rectangular collision detection. So if it is hovering over it, or the active mouse is not already null, and the left state or right state are not normal, which means, I mentioned this in the last video, we have states left to be finished. So in that case, if we have some influence of the mouse object on the object we're looking at right here, it'll set the active mouse to the active mouse that's passed. The active mouse is a property up here. And then it will set the clicked object, the active mouse.clicked object, to this object. So, now if we look back at game 1, if the CGO, which is the for each clickable gameplay object, if that active mouse is not equal to null, that means that we had some influence with the mouse on that object. Now, we only want to do one, so we click return. So that way we only update one gameplay object using the mouse. And that way, if we have one object on top of the other one, if we click, we only get one. Alright, so we click return, and then it goes back here, and then we do the perform normal updates. So now it'll update every single one except for the one that we have clicked or hovered over with our mouse. And you can tell that by if CGO does not equal mouse.clicked object. So we need both indications. We need the clickable gameplay object to have its mouse, the mouse that's interacted with it, and we need to have the mouse have the object that it's interacting with. So we need those two indications to do what we want to do here. So if the clickable gameplay object we're looking at right now does not equal the mouse's clickable object, we can do the normal update. Otherwise, we already did the mouse update, so we don't need to do anything to the clickable gameplay object. Okay, so now this else condition here. If we go into the perform mouse interactions, we for each loop. Now, if we are already clicking an object, this will not equal to null. So we already have some object we need to deal with, and that's stored in the mouse object. So I call mouse.ClickableObject-Update. So just update the mouse's clicked object, and then we return again, because we only want to do one object update for a mouse interaction, basically. So that's pretty much it in the clickable gameplay object. If there is some indication with the mouse interacting with this object, we need to store it in the active mouse. That's from the last tutorial. And this enhancement video is just storing the clicked object to this. And then in the else condition, when we reset active mouse is equal to null, we need to reset active mouse.clicked object is equal to null. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this update. So now we have two objects. As you see, if I hover over one, it'll change it to on 100% visible, and it will rotate. So now what if one is on top of the other one? How does it determine which one to pick? So if you're thinking of the for each loop, it'll pick the first one it finds, which is going to be this blue player here. So it does not influence the red one in any way. Alright, so now what if they're... So now I'm interacting with both objects. As you see here, the rectangular collision detection is not 100% perfect, so I'm actually interfering with both objects. But since the red object, the one to the right of the mouse, has priority because it's already being set on the mouse. The mouse picked that one first because I was on it first. So now if I do the same thing over here, the blue one, if the rectangular collision still holds, the blue one will take priority because I hovered over it first. If that makes sense. So whichever one you activate first, and then you can move it around, and then if you're hovering over both objects, whichever one you hover over first will take priority. When that state finishes, when it's back to 50% visible and the mouse state is gone, then you can activate the other one. So that's what you do if you have two objects on top of each other. You just have to have the state set properly, have both the mouse and the gameplay object know about each other. So the clickable gameplay object needs to know which mouse clicked me or is hovering over me, and the mouse needs to know which object I'm clicking or I'm hovering over. So that way we can monitor it in these update methods here. So that's it for this video, a little quick video, and that's how you determine which object to update, and that way you don't click both of them at the same time. So anyway, I hope to see you next time for a networking video.